All right, guys. Well, let's get started. And we got a really power-packed session for you today. So I'm just going to jump right in. I am Douglas. I run a automations agency called RAIZOR, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. Let's see. Let me just get the heads up. Can everybody see my screen right now? Okay, great. So just in case as I'm talking, the suddenly you can't see anything, just hop on, let me know if any other AV problems. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw a bunch at you. Don't worry, I will be giving you these slides as part of being here. You'll also get another couple of perks just for registering, and we're gonna just jump right in. So RAIZOR is an AI automations agency. I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do in a second. But before we do, I'm going to do a quick video because this is going to be part of a test that I'm going to show you in a sec. So here we go. I'm going to just do a 1 minute video or less, 30 seconds. And I'll say, hey, everybody, it's Douglas here. I am calling in from the RAIZOR workshop, AI for Content Creation. We've got some fun folks on the Zoom. This is going to be a little video experiment, but I hope all is going well in your online world and offline. All right, audience, and over and out. Doesn't really matter. It was perfect because it's going to be going to our test account anyway. It's going to show you, I'm going to show you, it's not going to go on to public stuff. And then I'm just going to write an email real quickly to a special email address. And in the subject, I'm going to say AI for content marketing, social media, and more, exclamation mark. And in the body of the email, I'm going to write, this is going to be a super power-packed hour. I hope everyone can hold on to their hats and their sanity because we're going to be jumping into a lot of things, exclamation mark. All right, so everybody, let's get back into this. Okay, so topics we're going to cover today. So we did the photo and video. Introductions I'll get into. We're going to cover some recent news. The AI chatbot power players. I'm going to go over a few things. An immediate way to start upgrading your ChatGPT abilities. Some cool tools for content creators. An intro to automation plus some freebies. You're going to get some workshops and some other things. Blair knows how much fun it can be to get started in this world. And also, I'm going to show you Agent Otto demo, which is part of what I just started going on with that video that I just sent off via email. Okay, so let's jump right in. First of all, RAIZOR, what do we do? Look, automations have been around forever. If you've ever used tools like Zapier, I love to use a tool called Make, and those are the workshops you guys are all going to get access to as a freebie. Blair loves it too. It's very visual. I like the UI better than Zapier, but they're coming out with new automation tools all the time, like N8N. It's a very big one. If you're a little more technical, it could be fun. But what it does is it basically, these automation tools link together platforms. That's nothing new. What makes it new is these tools like these AI tools like ChatGPT or OpenAI and Anthropic's Claude that you can now integrate into these automation workflows that make the whole thing super powerful. So tools like Zapier, Make, N8N have reached a new level of popularity recently. And we work through with clients connecting their systems and using AI when appropriate. That's one of our branches. The other branch is Agent Otto, which I'll get into towards the end of the call. It's our content marketing tool. So first of all, in the news in the last month or so, a few things I'm going to highlight. Claude 4 was introduced. We're going to get into what exactly Claude 4 is, or Claude in general, but if you don't know, it's another chatbot, kind of like a ChatGPT, and can be very powerful, often even better than ChatGPT, especially with some of the recent ChatGPT releases. They've had a recent bungled release, if you haven't noticed. ChatGPT 5 have got quite a lot of bad press, and they're really working very hard on trying to fix things. But each of these chatbots can have they'd be better and worse at certain things. So I'm going to go over that in a little bit. It's just important to know. So you can also at any time research what is the best. You can even ask these tools, what's the best tool for specific tasks, whether you're writing content or writing code. And what's nice is they often are honest, maybe unless it's Grok, Elon Musk's Grok. I don't know how honest it is. But Claude and ChatGPT, they'll often recommend other tools if they're not the right one. Like Claude the other day was like, I don't recommend Claude for that. Try OpenAI's version of X, Y, or Z for what you're trying to do. So I really appreciate that about them, most of the time being honest. Opal, if you haven't heard, is a new tool from Google that is going to aim to help streamline the creation of app building for just your average person that can literally prompt an app into existence. So a way to think about this and why it's powerful, and by the way, there's lots of different tools. I recently used a tool called Lovable, which has been out for a little longer. This is Google's first foray into it. Uh, for why would you build an app? Like most people don't need to build an app, right? Well, guess what? This is going to open up your mind to all sorts of things that might be possible. So, because it sort of sounds a little scary at first, but building apps can be quite powerful even for your everyday user. So let me show you a couple of examples. Let's start a little more technical. You want to build an app, you want it to really be a very powerful app. Maybe you're more of a developer. Maybe you're just an adventurous soul. You could get into these tools and try to build something more complicated. Maybe you want to just build something a little bit more simple. Like I saw a person who was a little more technical, but one of his browser extensions broke and he was paying for it anyway. And he used one of these tools to help him actually vibe code it was actually more of a coding one. He's more technical, but he just created a little browser extension for himself. So that's still a little bit more technical, but it was cool to see. And I'm like starting to open my mind of like, wow, what are the subscriptions that I pay for that I might even be able to use? Um, and so I was needed to figure out a loan payback structure for a friend of mine who I loaned a small amount of money to, and he's going to pay me back at 5% interest every year. But I needed a place to log it. And so I went into Claude actually. This was really interesting. I didn't prepare to show you the screenshot, but I started typing, can you create a spreadsheet for me to, to store the payments that this person's going to be logging and calculate the interest? The spreadsheet, ChatGPT also I ask, because this is what I do. I ask these things often the same thing and see what the better response is. I ask different chatbots. ChatGPT literally responded with a spreadsheet that didn't work, a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet. Claude didn't even provide a spreadsheet. Claude started creating an app. Okay, so now you're starting to see the power of an app, and it actually worked. Instead of producing a bunch of text, it built a little, what they call an artifact, right next to the screen for me to actually use. And then I decided to, wow, I better double check that this is good. I'm going to use Lovable to create another app with the same instructions. And Lovable created its own version. And now I have the two that I can actually log data into, make sure they calculate the same. And just in case one breaks, I have a log. I'm still a little bit like trepidatious. It's like, what if one disappears or something terrible happens? So I have a redundancy. But I guess that's going to open up your mind to thinking about apps. Apps don't need to be something you log into or you're launching for other people to use. Apps could be literally just a micro app that solves a problem for you and maybe even relieves you of a subscription, because we're all dying a death from 1,000 paperclips right now with subscriptions. So maybe there's some ways that these simple tools like Lovable, Opal, and the like can take some of that off our plate. So that was a long-winded announcement, but I think it's important to understand and get our mindset around apps for ourselves. ChatGPT agent. I'm not going to dwell on the fact that ChatGPT 5, which got released last week or something, was a terrible bungle, and a lot of people are up in arms about it and want the old versions back, to the point where actually they have introduced some of the ways for paid users to get back the old versions. I'm not going to get into it. What I will talk about is agents. This is something to have on your radar, everybody. It's important to start getting our heads around what agents can do, because actually I was at a whole business meeting about agents the other day. I actually asked, all right, who in this audience is even using agents for anything? And literally a group of 40 people, nobody was. So everyone's just trying to get their heads around it. And pretty much the only example, one of the few examples people give you, it's going to be able to book a trip for you. Personally, I probably would never want it to do that, because I really like to book my trips. But and find places that I want to stay and whatnot. But hey, maybe if you just have less need, or you have less specifics, or you can just trust an agent to do that, this is going to be great. But this is the example that they use all the time. And that's why people aren't really understanding what to use agents for. I think a lot of people wouldn't even use it for something like this. Agents effectively are ways that you can train an AI to do your bidding. And actually, you can train it inside a browser. And a cool thing to understand here is that you don't have to hand your computer over to an agent and then it's moving the mouse around and you can't actually use your computer. That would be a pain. I'm sure you could do that, but I want to use my laptop while also agents are doing things for me. And so the way ChatGPT agent works, which is available on paid subscriptions, is it opens up a virtual browser that you can train it to go around and click on things. And then, for example, maybe even do things in LinkedIn, things you might not be able to do with any automation tools. That's where I'm starting to get excited about agents, is places where typical automation falls short, where I can't actually ask it to do things on certain platforms for me through code and through APIs. If you're technical, you'll know what an API is, but it's how systems talk to each other. A lot of things you can't do with automations and code and APIs. So this idea of agents opens up some interesting possibilities because you can literally train it in a browser and it can be functioning. And then it can even talk to you and be like, hey, I've reached the end of my workflow. I need your help, or I need to pay for this thing. Can you come check it out? And you can have human touch points along the way. So this is pretty exciting. And people, again, are just getting their heads around it. So if you're just even talking about it and thinking about it, you're ahead of, I'd say, 99 point something percent of the population out there. Okay, cool. So I've mentioned the chatbots. And this, by the way, I change this every time I give a presentation because it changes every release. Each one has pros and cons. So literally, this is as of last week, it's automatically trying to select models, which everyone thought would be a good idea. But in the way it's currently selecting, sometimes it selects a smart one when you need just a quick answer. Sometimes it selects a stupid one when you need something more. So kind of important to understand that this is, and that's one of the reasons why people wanted to switch back to the ChatGPT 4.0, which you can do if you're a paid user now up at the top, because people were hating this auto switching. Claude, in particular, for coding, even some creative writing sometimes. It's interesting though, because all of these tools are also trying to create UIs. So they're not just chatbots. Now UIs are starting, and that's the user interface of both the app on the phone and the app on the website are growing. And that's one other reason, not just the quality of output, but actually the interface is changing and adding new things. Claude built my artifact, remember, which was pretty damn cool. ChatGPT just gave me a spreadsheet. And that's why it's nice to have these things open at the same time. I usually have at least these three open. Perplexity really is more of a use for, like, it's a Google replacement. They're actually big news is they're trying to buy Google Chrome and really kind of transform search from an AI position from the ground up, which is fascinating to me. Google Gemini, here comes like the sort of the ones that are the big power players because they're the ones that are kind of integrated and have a lot of budget behind them. Gemini from Google, it's going to be increasingly integrated into Google's workspace and apps. Currently, I still can hardly ask it to do much for me. The other day, I had 1,000 entries in a spreadsheet, and I just said to Gemini inside Google Sheets, hey, can you remove duplicates based off of email addresses? It couldn't do it. I had to export it as a spreadsheet. I imported it into Claude. It was way too slow. In fact, it reached the limit of the free plan without even giving me a spreadsheet. ChatGPT did it perfectly. It removed all duplicates based off of both email column and also first and last name column in case someone had multiple emails, the same person. And it brought that 1,000 person or 1,000 entry spreadsheet down to 600. That was something I used to pay a subscription for in Google Sheets, and now it's free. So if you know how to prompt, just download the Google Sheets as an Excel, and then upload it to ChatGPT, ask it to do its thing. It returns as an Excel. You re-import it into Google Sheets, and you're done.
Hey, Dougie, quick question on that.
Yeah.
I found like 90% of the time that I ask it to output a like a CSV,
Uh-huh.
uh it just it either gives me an error, like the file is completely corrupt, or
Uh-huh.
it gives me really bad data. And it's the same thing with creating PDFs. I found that its ability to create files is
Uh-huh.
very, I must be doing something wrong because it rarely ever works anymore.
Yeah, I very rarely ask it to create PDFs. In fact, I just don't know. I'm not really too big on the charts and making me charts and things yet. I haven't gotten into that too much. I would love to more. I have a feeling it might emerge actually more naturally from things like Gemini within their apps like Google Slides, which I'm in right now. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice if Gemini just did it right there in Sheets? It doesn't. And that's why taking that spreadsheet out, running it into ChatGPT, which worked great for me, didn't work good for Blair, might have just been a bad day for ChatGPT. Who knows? Claude might do it some days. Gemini might do it if you use Gemini from the uploading, from the actual chatbot interface, and not from the chatbot interface within Google Slides or Google Sheets in this case. So again, I take the thing, I try three things sometimes. If I can't get it to work, sometimes I'll still maybe have to pay for the other thing where, every one of these is, by the way, a paid service out there. If you're not like if you don't want to actually try to figure this out on your own, every one of these is a paid service, there is a paid service for every basic type of AI tool. But yeah, give it a shot on multiple platforms. Copilot might do it. Who knows? Grok, I don't know if it would do it, but Grok is the place that you can go. It's the bad boy of the chatbot arena. It's now less restricted than any ever, which is hilarious because forever Elon Musk was trying to sue OpenAI for ChatGPT, being not safe and not being open and all that kind of stuff. And now he's just completely going crazy. And it's all uncensored except if it says something bad about him or about Grok. And then, he tailors it. And that's an actually important thing. It's a message right now because all of these things are not truth. They're all their own version of truth. And that's why it is good to get multiple perspectives, both from AI and other sources, because there's no such thing actually as, I would say, probably objective truth, because we all live in a world where we're filtered not just by the news and who reports it, but by our own understanding of what goes into our primate meat brain. So, but all that to say, some of these might be a little bit more balanced than others. I'd say Grok is maybe fun to play on. They even have a recent spicy mode that you can do imagery in and maybe even get more unfiltered responses. So, okay, I thought I'd throw it in there. All right, everybody. We're going to get into ChatGPT tips and tricks a little bit. We're rolling right along. I want to make sure to leave enough time at the end too for some Q&A. We got a bunch to get through. I know this is a lot. You'll get the slides, like I said. Okay, so first of all, just on a meta level, one of the biggest and most exciting things about LLMs, which is what I just showed you, those are 6 examples of LLMs, large language models, is that they're autodidactic. And by that, I mean, back in the day when you needed to program your VCR to record something, there was no way to ask your VCR how to do it. You had to look into the manuals. If you were someone like me, you loved manuals. In fact, you would read them instead of often books at night to try to understand how things work and to know all the advanced features. Turns out that was not a normal thing to do, and that's probably why I'm in the job I'm in now. But what's amazing is these LLMs are autodidactic, and by that I mean you can ask LLMs the best way to use them. So before you even get to prompting, you can say, hey, I'd like to use you to help me do X, Y, or Z. I'm a realtor. I want to work on my marketing. How can I work with you, ChatGPT? And it's going to begin to teach you how to work with it. And that's what is very exciting about these technologies. A few features that a lot of people don't know about, and these are paid features of ChatGPT. If you're not using the paid plan, you might want to consider it. Gives you some more leeway to use it throughout the day, and it also opens up some of these advanced features. Projects, very cool. If you don't know what it is, it's effectively folders that you can train, but not just to organize your chats, but also train the output of any chats that happen within that folder. You can attach instructions and files. So if you're working for a specific client or I just created one for my financial advisor. I wanted to have an financial advisor. I uploaded all my financial records. Maybe, I didn't add my account numbers or whatnot, just the amounts and things like that of various investments, and asked it to act as a financial advisor. And now I can just go in there and chat, and it could give me, I could upload screenshots, I could upload spreadsheets, and I could ask it, and it says, here's some advice. Let's check back in a month or in a quarter and continue to rebalance. So that's an example of a project, but you can use that for clients. You could upload a book. You could upload various documents about a specific business practice or department, and it could be a project. Custom GPTs, they have an aspect of projects to them where you can train them also as with instructions and files. But what's cool about them is if you're techie, you can actually make them even more powerful by connecting them with other apps. But better than that, you can actually call them whenever, because I think projects make sense for some things, but custom GPTs make sense for other things. What's neat is I have one, for example, for RAIZOR's brand, where I train a custom GPT on my brand, and that's a class that you're all going to get for free for joining my custom GPT class. But you can train a custom GPT on your brand voice, for example, and then at any time you can pull it up. You can either pull it up by clicking on it in the left-hand column of your ChatGPT interface, or you can pull it up within any chat at any time. by just doing the at symbol. In our case, it's a RAIZOR brand bot. So at RAIZOR brand bot, and then it's the next chat answer is using that chat bot. And then you start to see the power. Imagine if you had for your business a few of those custom GPTs, and in one thread, you could call up a different advice from a few of them, and they'll all be using their own training to give you feedback back on everything previously in that thread. So it's pretty cool. All right, so Canvas, similar to artifacts with similar to artifacts with Claude, Canvas is a way to open up in ChatGPT that lets you to continue to work on, say, a document or a draft of something without you needing to copy and paste it over to Google Drive and then copy and paste it over to the docs and whatnot. It helps you massage, say, a draft of something right there. And then I think that's available to all people, not just paid folks, but important to know. All right, so those are some tips and tricks. And now we're going to get into some basics of prompting. I figure this is important to cover at a high level. Let's talk about a basic prompt, which probably 95% of people are using ChatGPT like out there. Write me a blog post about, and this is where you get horrible blog posts, okay? This is where it sounds like AI, it's generic, it's the same sort of structure, it's really not interesting, and it will certainly get flagged by Google as AI content. Okay, let's talk about what a little bit more of a professional prompt would look like. So first of all, you give it some training about who it is. So we're going to give it a few prompts before we even ask it to do anything. So you're a professional copywriter. You can actually get, and by the way, if you ask it how to write a good blog prompt for you or blog, how to help you write a blog, it should be good enough to actually walk you through these steps or similar steps before it even starts writing a blog. It goes back to that autodidactic nature. And the reason why you don't necessarily need all these slides, remember, you can ask the ChatGPTs about a lot of this stuff if you forget. So now you write in my tone when you respond. Now consider my target audience's goals and challenges in your response. We haven't even asked it to do anything yet. We're still training it. These are all prompts. Respond in the following structure. I want you to do an intro paragraph. I want you to talk about why this is important for my audience. And I want you to maybe even if you've put not just your tone in here, you could put your products and services maybe as a third prompt before you get into this. You could say, respond in the following structure, considering my audience, writing in my tone, and also including a product or service that I offer. This is kind of a bonus one, but if you have a particular structure that you like in Blair, this might be interesting for you to try in that flow of asking for a spreadsheet. Before you ask it for a spreadsheet, you could import a dummy data spreadsheet and say, like, here's the format of what I want you to give me. So look at that, analyze that, and then you ask it for the spreadsheet. You might have a lot more accuracy in what you get out. And that's kind of this bonus thing here. This is for writing, but it might be really cool for a PDF, spreadsheet, CSV, or any of those things. So here's an example. This is a kind of cool thing. And then finally, 6 or 7 prompts later, now you're ready to write the blog post, okay? So that is way more professional. You're going to get a way better outcome. You're probably still going to have to massage it, like all this stuff. This might get you 50% of the way there. This might get you 95% of the way there, okay? And you're going to suddenly be a lot more advanced. What's interesting is you could start to think about this in terms of automation, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, but you could also think about this in terms of a custom GPT. Imagine you create a custom GPT, even maybe you could try it with a project too. I think either would work, where in the instructions, you include these things. You could include them right in the instructions. You could include them as text files. You'll see if you do my custom GPT course, how this could be kind of, how you could create a custom GPT blog writer for your brand. All right, moving on. I'm just going to give you a bunch of tools. We don't use all of these. We use some of them. We use also a lot of automations on the back end. But for those of you who don't want to get too technical, there's a whole bunch. I'm going to just run through. There's like 20 tools here. I'm not going to get too into them. But for written content, there's Jasper, there's Copy AI, and Write Sonic. If you're doing a lot of, stuff for branded materials, you could look at Jasper. a lot of ads, copy AI, right? Sonnet can do very advanced blogs and things. All of these are going to be paid services, but and it's nice to get away as much as possible with your subscription to ChatGPT, but it's important to know that these are highly specialized tools. If you're into video, I used Pictory recently. You can actually get AI to look at your audio and create video based off of your audio scripts. It uses stock imagery, pretty interesting. Getting into actually AI created video runway is really the industry standard. It's really producing the most attractive interface for dealing with video, is really trying to replace or really trying to be a Hollywood tool like a Adobe for AI video almost. Powerful stuff. It's still, I don't find a lot of reason to use AI video. Maybe for marketing and ads, it can produce eye-catching stuff, but don't do a lot of video generation. It's also very expensive. I do use Descript though regularly. Descript, if you're doing video podcasts or audio podcasts or even dealing with just transcripts of things, it's incredibly cool, but it's especially tailored for podcasts and video podcasts. It's got amazing tools like for videos. It can, first of all, do things like centering your eyeballs. It can clean up audio. It can create video shorts out of video longs, put them from horizontal into vertical format, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing. The interface was transformative when it launched because it, instead of working with a little sort of little slider in a video, what do you call it, playhead, it's working with text documentation. So as you're editing the text on the left-hand side, it's editing the video on the right. It's incredibly cool and fun to use. And like I say, we use it a lot. Canva, if you're more of a creative, low-code person, simple stuff you can do in Canva. It's got a whole AI magic studio from image creation, background removal, formatting of graphics for different formats and ratios. It's incredibly cool. Firefly, a free tool that you can get to right online that can do similar things like AI effects, background removal, all sorts of cool stuff. Neat things with products. Can also, with the AI imagery, I believe in Adobe Firefly, it's licensed, so you can feel free to use that imagery, as with most Adobe products, I believe. It uses their licensed imagery. Hopefully the creators get rewarded, but at least you are okay to use that for branded content without fear of getting in trouble. If you're into branding and design, LoveArt is a brand new app. It is completely insane from what I've seen. It will automate the entire design journey from concept to images, 3D and beyond. It's wild. Take a look. Even at their video is really cool. All right, so a lot of these we use. 11 Labs and HeyGen are so much fun. I use 11 Labs every day to clone my voice for various things. We have a whole podcast. You'll all begin to get our daily podcast our daily newsletter after this for joining our workshop. At the top, if you don't have time to read the newsletter, you can subscribe to the podcast, and that's the AI version of me reading the news every day in 5 minutes. It's incredibly fun to hear myself every morning. In fact, I just got a text message that today's newsletter is ready, and we can review it together in a moment and send it. HeyGen, it's an expensive tool, but it's really fun to play with. It gives you some free credits. Sometimes I'll use this for clients to create AI avatars. I recently just did a subscription just for fun, but it's $100 plus often to get these things working on a automated level, but you can get involved at like $30 a month by going into the website and doing it from there. Another cool shout out, and this actually recently, since I've updated this slide, 11 Labs is now also doing this. So it's part of your subscription there too, is AI music. So if you have a video you want to create custom AI music for the background, which I actually need to do for a sales video. This reminds me, I'm going to take a screenshot of this to remind myself I need to do that. I listened to the video yesterday and it needs some music, but AIVA sounds like it's cool for creating soundtracks too. All right, cool. So social media, multimodal content. This is a lot of what we're going to be talking about the rest of the workshop. Opus Clip, very, very cool. It will, like Descript, although I think it's better than Descript at this, it will take long format videos and split it up into video shorts. It tries to look for the sentiment. It tries to look for the meaning and importance within those videos. And it actually will create those shorts. You can then go in and edit them. There are some tools like Opus Clip that can do this on an automated level, completely automated, that would literally spit videos out into a Google folder for you. Personally, I don't think the technology is there yet. I think Opus Clip, using a tool like that or Descript that gets you 95% of the way there, and then you go and tweak it, I think it's the better way to go right now. Repurpose, interesting stuff, can automate reformatting and publishing of content across all platforms. This is very interesting to me too. Ultimately, you're still making content, but it's helping you put it out. And then lastly, our own little tool that the final chunk of the workshop today is going to be demoing is Agent Otto, but it's a whole suite of content creation tools for content creators, influencers, public speakers, small teams, startups, all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really fun. All right, so before we get into that, though, I want to just talk about automation briefly. It's the tool that Agent Otto is completely built on. But let's just talk about it and where this all started. So remember our prompt structure, right? So could it be automated? Remember, we already talked about, yeah, it could already be automated in a cool, simple way in a custom GPT. But there's even ways that you could get even better than that. Again, sometimes custom GPTs might not take it as far as you want. So what we do is we use a tool called Make. I mentioned it briefly earlier. It's kind of like a more pretty to use Zapier, but a less powerful, less techy N8N. Falls right in the middle, which I think is a great balance for most people that want to do a little bit of automation. Get started for free, and it's pretty and simple to use relatively to do the basics. If you do hit some, like for me, after using it for a year, I started to hit some things where it's like, I need some more power. I'm graduating to, for certain things, I'm going to graduate to N8N, which somebody who's a little bit more technical, I'd probably recommend just getting right into that. But for most people, make.com is great. Here's an example of kind of what it looks like. That prompt in particular, it creates, there's basically a form instead of working with ChatGPT. It can go in, it can get your training of your brand, your blog writing prompt, your signature. It can write a blog, it can create hashtags. It can then even schedule a post to buffer in this case. So now we're starting to see like ChatGPT, a custom GPT might get it this far, but make.com now it can actually even schedule for you. You could actually even now put a little module in here to create an image for that post. Okay. Now you're starting to see the power of make.com. Don't worry about it. I've got actually some great videos. These are all free at raizor.co. At the top, there's a link. You can subscribe, but you'll also get this link when I send out the follow-up from today's session. All right, everybody. So it's 2:10 East Coast time. We are right on track to begin an Agent Otto demo. What is Agent Otto? Agent Otto is, it's not a web app. This isn't a public tool. This is a client portal for our clients. Really, it's very powerful. It's attached to a little bit of consulting time with us in which we help set it up for clients. And then it's a basic subscription once they're set up with a bunch of cool upgrades. We love marketing and content creation. So while RAIZOR does a lot of particular things for specific companies in their sales department or project management, I love content creation, and that's what a lot of the tools that I built were based on. And so I decided to actually, a lot of our clients were needing this to actually create an interface for it. And so we decided to whip out this new sort of web app for our clients called Agent Otto. Supercharges your content marketing. What's cool about it is that you train it on your brand. A lot of now, like what we talked about, like a very, very advanced custom GPT. And right off the bat, you're going to have a bunch of tools that you can use. Once we consult with you, we extract the important stuff. We help train it, the AI on your brand. And then there's a whole bunch of cool upgrades for every type of content creator. Now, most people wouldn't use all of these things, but the cool thing is they are a la carte upgrades. Cross-platform auto posting from blogs to Facebooks to Twitter, et cetera, all the platforms. Programmatic graphics generation. By that, I mean you never have to go into Canva. You can literally schedule 1 week to 10 weeks of content with one click and then go check it in your scheduling tool, and it will create all the graphics for you. Long form, short form video processing. It's incredibly fun. It actually makes doing video shorts. And if the system worked, if I didn't break it yesterday when I messed up my user account, then it should have actually, by the time we start checking it out, it should have posted that video that we did earlier. Okay, so the idea being that when you've created a 1 minute video, when you've created a 1 hour video, like after this call, I'm going to run this workshop through the video processor. It's going to take me 10 minutes to get this uploaded to YouTube with custom thumbnail and shared across all my social media without ever even going into YouTube, including chapter markers and a YouTube signature description and everything else that is needed for YouTube. So the idea being for content creators, if you're doing a 1 hour video podcast, ways to get this out super quick. Thumbnail creation, it's related to video processing, obviously. Auto newsletter, I'm going to show you because like I said, I got a text message that my auto newsletter is ready today. One-click podcast publishing, syndicating to every podcast platform and sharing it across all your socials. And all you need is a link to an MP3 at the very least, unless you want to customize it. Voice cloning, I'll show you when I show you the newsletter. Avatar scripting, like I say, it's a bit more experimental, but fun. Social scanning can scan social media accounts from Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and find what people in your industry are talking about. You can use that as a source of inspiration. You can even use it to curate some new content for your channel. So super exciting stuff. Let's dive into what the interface looks like. So this is the home page, which always has the latest result. What's going on there? I actually just got a text message that this might be ready. So yeah, this is actually ready. So do you remember we sent that email at the beginning of, or all I did was take a video and sent that email at the beginning of the call. Well, guess what? It went off and it took the subject line of the email and it created the title. And it also created the post, which was the content of the email. It created hashtags. It added a signature. It posted it to YouTube. Let's take a look. Everybody, it's Douglas here. I am calling in from the RAIZOR workshop, AI for Content Creation. Got some fun folks on the Zoom. This is going to be a little video experiment, but I hope all is going well in your online world. Okay, so you get the idea. So while I was giving this workshop, this was uploading, formatting, putting captions, putting titles. Here, put the description. Here, put my signature so people can link out to me or go find what I offer. But not just YouTube. It went out to Instagram, Reels. It went out to Facebook. Right here. All the different platforms formatted differently for all of them as needed. So really powerful stuff and fun. It made that 1 minute video. Now it's 1 minute and I'm not like suddenly like, at the dinner table trying to do the captions. It's on and it's out. So that's the first powerful example of Agent Otto. But like I said, let me just backtrack a little bit to the basics. You train it on your brand. And so this is where we work with our clients to get their brand and business overview in here, their demographics of their audience and goals and challenges, my products and services. What's cool about this is it knows these now and it can integrate these where it's relevant into my outbound stuff like blogs and things, which we're going to do an experiment on. So let's go over. These tools all are available to you after the basic branding. So with the basic subscription, which includes like an hour of our time a month that we talk about how to use this tool and how to like amp up your content marketing, you have access to all these tools. You can explore different types of audiences if you're giving talks, places, can generate ideas for socials. You can find gaps in your offerings. It's fun images and basic blog writing. You can create sales pages, prepare for keynotes or podcast interviews, process transcripts for audio or video transcripts. You can outline documents and things like that. That's all sort of built in. Where it gets kind of custom is these are all upgrades because they all require us to build some stuff on the back end to integrate your accounts and everything. And like I say, clients sometimes have one, sometimes my client that has the most has 3 of these or 4 of these. So let's take a look at how one of these works. From here, you see a bunch of settings, what platforms you have enabled on your account, and whether or not you're testing or you are running this actively. So you can come into your settings and change that. In particular, your writing tone, the prompt for creating article summaries and cleaning up content, simple signature, HTML signature, all that kind of good stuff. So let's take a look at the form. It's very simple. At the very least, you need to fill in these 2 fields. You can copy and paste an article in here, which is what we'll do. This will clean up an existing post that maybe you have. So if it's a little bit messy, it'll clean it up using your brand tone. You could actually just dictate a rough post verbally into this and that will clean it up. This you can copy and paste another post in here and it will rewrite it in your own way. You could also just copy and paste perfect text that you don't want any AI to be applied to. So why don't we use an example news article to do a summary with just the basic settings. Okay, so I found an article all about how escape rooms could be really interesting to bring AI into the classroom. And so all we need to do is copy this entire article, and this ensures accuracy rather than just putting a URL. This is actually a way better way to do it. We just click article summary, paste it in here. I'm going to include a link to the post because I'm going to want this to be a blog post and also go to my social media accounts. It'll link back to the blog post and the blog post will link to the article. Also, I can choose any of these things just to go through here. This is if I wanted a custom short post or introduction. It's going to make a title and introduction. If I wanted to boost my brand details, add my own background image, I'm going to let AI create the image for me, adding credits, AI image models if you want a special prompt. If you leave this blank, it will automatically post or schedule to all your platforms. And you get a few other options here too, which you can explore. Once you're ready to go, you just press submit. Okay, in relatively short order, you'll get a notification that the results are ready. You can head over here to check it out, and you'll see the summary. It went to all platforms. It actually went to 2 of our blogs that we have connected to our account, and it got scheduled to all these. It's even sent it to Avatar Scripter, which is another pro upgrade that we've integrated into this tool. But let's get started with at least the blog. When you check it out, you'll notice we've got the intro, we've got the structure that follows our article summary, and this is all highly trained on our writing tone and also our article summary structure that we've told it to follow. And in our case, it's a summary, it's why it's a sort of notable technology, the benefits, concerns, possible business use cases, a thought-provoking final paragraph. It links to the original article. It also randomly chooses a image style to add. In this case, it did some blackboard art, and it links to a lead magnet and automatically puts our signature on there. And then it also schedules out to Buffer, which is our scheduling tool that we use, but it could use whichever scheduling tool our clients use. And it's got a nice short one for LinkedIn and Facebook. Again, it links now, in this case, over to the blog to encourage traffic, and then the blog links to the original article. It has a slightly different simple text signature. Same with LinkedIn. It's also got a short version for Twitter, and this will go out on our next schedule. And this is great because this allows us to double check things before they go out if we want to. All right, so let's fast forward and see what the results look like. So first of all, on LinkedIn, we've got our shorter version, which links back to our blog to encourage traffic. We've also got the signature that pops up there where people can book a call. Of course, similarly, Facebook, very similar, not too long, not too short, just enough to encourage some clicks. And then platforms with a short post, this is created just to be engaging, and then again, linking back to the website. So just for the final pièce de résistance, we've got a fun avatar created by integrating our auto poster with Avatar Scripter, another one of our pro upgrades. But this goes out to YouTube and any other video short platforms. So let's see how it sounds. This is actually avatar of me presenting the news for that day.
Escape rooms might shape the future of AI-driven VR and AR education.
So we've shown you a couple of cool things. Let me just show you some basics here in the last few minutes. All of this can be produced automatically by looking at a spreadsheet. Any graphic design you can think of, we can make into programmatic design, and it can all you need to do is say put quotes in a spreadsheet very easily. Every week I just fill up at least one line, one row in each pillar of content here in this spreadsheet. And then all I need to do is go into this tool and say schedule however many weeks of content. But I might sometimes want to test it. So I could do a pillar content test quote. And so make sure in here, if I want to see how this first row, Michael Dell looks, I can go in here and say, let's go Otto. And hopefully that's an image of Michael Dell right here. Yeah, there he is. So he should pop up as a test in my text message thread in the results page soon. But anything you can add here, you can also do cool things like add hashtags and imagery very easily. Wherever that's red or orange can be made with AI. So for certain things like educational, I don't mind AI images being made, but for things like lifestyle, I don't want that to obviously use a AI image. I want that to be something about me. All right, everybody. So you've seen a little bit of video processor podcast, but this is very cool because it can do shorts. After this, I'm going to actually use this form to do longs. It can add cues. It can work from Google Drive folders. So you can produce clips in Opus Clip. It's not trying to compete with Opus Clip. You can produce it in Opus Clip and then schedule the output from things like Opus Clip. Finally, you can make thumbnails incredibly easily. I can just show you one for fun. This could be a workshop on AI content creation, social media, and more. That's what we're doing today. And then we are going to say it's going to be a RAIZOR YouTube thumbnail. If I wanted to put a custom background, I could. I'm just going to get AI to do it for me. Go send it off. Podcast publisher, I've told you about it a little bit before. I'm going to show you the final thing I'm going to show you is the newsletter. But here is the format I like my podcast published in, the cover art. All I need to do is put an MP3 link here, and it will actually turn into a podcast fully uploaded. And I actually can show you on Podbean, which is my syndication platform, is what it looks like. This entire podcast right here with chapter markers, with the description, with the album art, syndicated with hashtags, with the signature. I never even went in to upload this. This was all from one MP3, just clicked on. Super powerful stuff. So social scanner, the last thing I'll show you is the newsletter because we'll send it together and then you should get it actually. And then profile monitor is where you can actually add TikTok, YouTube, Instagram profiles, scan them every day. You get a report. That report has summary of what's been talked about today in your industry. You can also look at recent posts that are in your industry. You can watch videos right from here. In my case, is a lot about AI stuff that I monitor, but right from here. And if you're curating, you can even repurpose. That's a whole nother conversation. All right, with our last minute here, we are going to look at the drafts of our newsletter. There's not that many options on here other than changing a few things here and there. I can see what the last newsletter looked like and also view my drafts. We use MailerLite, but this can work with any client platform. We're going to go in, look at it. This is all I do every day, guys. I look at this and I say, it looks great. Literally, there's very rare anything has a problem. This was yesterday's auto poster blog. It inserts there first automatically. This was the image. I have some classicism, themed AI today with a chart on here. But every day is a different theme. I have the AI news of the day. It's a big day of news. Wow. And a rotating product video, AI tools, and that's about it. Here I can go in here. I add this footer because it looks a little bit nicer. I can click done. So you saw, I just got a text message that that newsletter was ready, completely created automatically. And now I can go in here and say, send. That newsletter took me less than a minute to send to all of my audience. That just sits there and grows leads, which is really, really fun. And also, I love reading my newsletter. The last thing to show you on the newsletter is this. Every day, just to really, because I'm an AI automations nerd, I get it to publish a version of the newsletter as a podcast in my own voice. So let's take a listen. I haven't even listened to today's yet.
Good morning. It's Douglas from RAIZOR bringing you the latest AI news for today, Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. First up, here's an overview of today's highlighted topic on our blog.
I mean, it sounds quite a lot like me, and it basically just goes through that newsletter. So that's Agent Otto. Like I say, there's a whole bunch more we didn't cover. On the homepage, you can actually click on any of these. There are video if any of those are interesting to you. If you are wanting to give this a shot, you can sign up. The way we've got this is $199 a month, gets you access to the platform. It also includes an hour a month consulting time with us and access to all those tools. And there's a bunch of frequently asked questions and things on here. If you have more questions, that's agentotto.io. And I want to just tell you guys the final takeaways. Treat AI like a mindfulness practice. You need to get out of your stress. You need to ask AI how to help you define those SOPs and pain points. Doing so, you're going to find bottlenecks in your day. You can map those out. You can consider whether it's through ChatGPT, custom GPTs, make.com, or reaching out to RAIZOR. We can actually pilot those high ROI use cases. We've saved some clients from 4 hours a day on certain tasks to 10 minutes a day. It's crazy. I mean, that's pretty rare. It's that much of an improvement, but it's possible. This is our AI for Business group. So I'm going to give you guys a second to check that out. If you want to join, I'll also send the link out in the email. So if you haven't got that yet, you will get it on email as well. And this is also how you can connect with us. And so on that note, I would love to say thank you all so much for joining. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. It's been a real pleasure to share. Hopefully I didn't get too crazy with all the stuff today, but now I can open it up to a little Q&A. Thanks so much, everybody.